If you sit at a desk often, you may notice that your upper back and neck are all cranked up by the end of the day. In this video series, we will go over our top exercises and lifestyle tips to mitigate this issue. Okay, so first we're going to start with some warm-ups to get some synovial fluid going and some blood flow into the area. I usually do calves, but if I've sat down all day and my neck is really cranked up, I literally can't do that without pain. So I'm going to separate the movements a little bit to warm up, and then we can do the full neck calves. And I'm going to do this in the quadruped position to allow for a little bit of gravity. If you find that really uncomfortable, you can do them standing instead. So I'm going to get my hands underneath my shoulders and my hips underneath my hips underneath my knees underneath my hips. And I'm just going to start with tucking my chin to my chest slowly and then looking all the way up. I'm going to do about 10. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the calves, but only half the circle at the bottom and not at the top. So this will look really weird, but you can also do this standing. So if standing, it would be like this, just like that, looking side to side and going around the whole circle like you're drawing a semicircle. And I'm going to do this quadruped. So again, about 6 of these, not much, because we're just warming up before we could do the full calves. All right, so that should start feeling a little bit looser, and now I'm going to try to do neck calves. So I'm going to do them quadruped, and a little tip here is to try to keep your mouth closed, because if you are starting to open your mouth because of tightness, that suggests that there is quite a lot going on there, and maybe you might simply be doing the movement but opening your mouth as a compensation instead of simply just doing a smaller range of motion and then maybe finding where that tightness is later. So I'm going to do about 3 rotations each way. It's not much, but we're just warming up. So going 1 full rotation, getting back to the center, and then reversing, and that is 1. All right, so now I could do full neck calves without pain, whereas before, after sitting all the time, I couldn't do the full range of motion, so that little warm-up made a big difference. So we're gonna do standing neck calves with a band. You can opt to do this without a band if your neck is a bit tight, but you're just gonna stand on a light band. Note that this is a light band. You don't wanna do this with a super heavy band to begin with as a warm-up, but you're just gonna allow this band to pull your shoulders back and down and get you in position, and we're gonna do 3 reps of neck calves standing up. So I'm just tucking my chin, rotating around to my shoulder, getting water out of my ear, and a motion looking up, and then opposite on the way around the other side. And that's 1 rep. We're going to do 3, trying to pay attention to not let shoulders lift and stuff like that, and keep the mouth closed. All right, so we're gonna do shoulder calves next. I'm gonna do both sides at the same time, sat down. You can sit on a chair or you can stand up, doesn't really matter. We're bracing the core so that we don't have any rib flare going on. And I'm just going to bring my arms in the way first, all the way up as far as I can go with shoulder flexion without compensating, then rotate around and bring them back and down. Gonna do 3 rounds. So that's 1 rep, I'm gonna do 2 more. Okay, so last warm up is gonna be scapular calves. I'm gonna do it quadruped, and I'm gonna do it overhead with a band. So to begin with, starting the hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Just think of making a circle with your scapula, and you can also think of doing this in a cube. So we're going to bring the shoulders and shoulder blades back towards our ears, down towards our back pockets, push the ground away, and then back up towards your ears. And one of the things I like to think about is a train. because you've got your arms staying still and straight, but this area rotating. So again, we're going to do 3 rotations each direction. So I think that's actually 4 now on my side, and then back the way. Okay, and then I'm going to grab a band and I'm going to do this overhead as well. So same concept here, except for now your arms are above you instead of in front of you. I'm going to do 3 rotations back the way and then 3 rotations forward. Trying to keep those elbows straight so they're not helping me, but so another option is hanging. Obviously, like, I'm going to take my weight off because it's a warm-up, so I've got my weight on my knees and I'm only taking a tiny percentage of my body weight through my scapula. All right, so now we're going to move on to the stretches now that we're all warm and everything started moving. I do prefer to warm up before I stretch. It sounds strange, but you do want to have some blood flowing and some synovial fluid before you start like tugging at things that have been tight all day. So please don't skip the warm up. So with the chair, we're just going to grab onto it with our hand. And as we're pulling our shoulder blade back and down, we're going to tug on this chair. And as you tug on the chair, you're now going to turn your neck to the side and back forward, and we're going to do 10 reps of these, so it's a nice dynamic stretch. And if you don't have a good setup for a chair, or you've got long arms, whatever might not be the right setup for you, I'm going to show you an alternative standing instead. So I'm going to do about 10 reps on that side, 10 on this. So for whatever reason you can't do this, perhaps your chair's not the right height or your arms are the wrong length, that can happen. Instead, you're going to bring the hand behind you. You're going to hold it with the other hand, pin the shoulder back and down the same way, and then you can do the stretch exactly the same way. So another version is standing, pinning the shoulders back and down. Here you can go alternate sides, nice and slowly. So next is a super simple chest stretch. I'm going to use the edge of a gondola because why not? But you can use a wall or anything, actually, just a door frame. So we're going to get a 90-degree angle, elbow in line with your shoulder, and then you're going to rotate around, opening your chest up. Nice, deep, long breaths out. You're going to breathe into this for about 1 minute per side. Okay, so the next stretch is a weird one. You don't need any kit, but it's not for everybody. So if it doesn't feel right, just skip to the next one. So I'm just going to hinge back, grab underneath my legs with my hands. And from here, I'm going to pull my back up, trying to do like a cat stretch, trying to pull myself up and resist with my arms. I'm going to go into this a few times and hold for 5 seconds per rep. I'm going to do about 5 of these. Okay, so the next thing I'm doing is thoracic archer rotation sweeps, and I want to cover thoracic rotation before we cover extension because that's going to help you get into your full extension. So if you have a foam roller, great. If you don't, you can use a pillow or simply not use a support for your knee, and you just need to find a bit of floor that has a little bit of space. Okay, so for this next one, we do need a roller. We're going to do thoracic extensions on the roller. And first I want you to just roll around for about 1 minute, and then we're going to extend while controlling the core. All right, so the roll is going to go from around the bottom of your ribs to up around here. Any further up and it will kind of fall out the way. And if you've got long hair, you probably want to get that up before it gets sort of sucked into it. So from here, I'm going to start with my hips down, place my feet on the ground and slightly push through my heels just a touch, and then just pull myself forward and back, rolling the thoracic region. If you find this particularly uncomfortable, you can find a softer roller. We want to just roll around for about a minute so that it's not such a shock when we're going to do the extensions, which, if you've never done them before, can be quite unpleasant. So just stick to the range that you're comfortable with and only do a small amount of range to begin with. So now that I'm going to do my extensions, I'm going to keep my hips on the ground, pull my belly button in a little bit so that I just don't end up flaring too much. I mean, obviously my ribs are going to be coming up, that's the idea. But what I don't want to be doing is arching my low back and kind of pushing through my low back. What I want to be doing is controlling this area, having a little bit of a brace, not a huge one, but a little bit of a brace so that when I come back the way, I'm focusing on this area and not this area. And you just roll around, finding the areas that feel a bit stiff. Do with a little bit of a release. All right, so I've only done 3 segments and I've done about 3 reps per each bit, but I'm not particularly stiff today. And if I was a little bit stiffer, I might probably do about 6, maybe 8 of these. So just go by what you feel. Okay, so my upper back gets really, really quite tight around here when I sit all day at a laptop, and one of my favorite stretches, even if I'm not doing any of the rest, is this one. It's folding your arms around themselves and holding on. Not everyone's gonna be able to do this, so you can actually do it like this, hold on and do it the same way, but I'm gonna fold around just because it gets more of a stretch. And then you're going to tuck your chin in and pull down the way and come back up. So I'm going to do about 8 of these. And if you are crisscrossing the arms like me, you'll notice one side is now pulling more than the other, so you want to flip that over for the other side, for the other 4 reps to get your 8 reps. Okay, so you need a doorway for this, and I actually don't have a doorway in here, so I'm going to use a balcony, and it's snowing outside, so this is going to be fun. So again, you're crisscrossing your arms and you're grabbing onto each edge of the doorway. From here, you're now pulling yourself away. You can also do this like in a squat rack. Works actually a little bit better. So I'm just going to do about 5 to 8 reps going in and out of this stretch. And again, at the halfway mark, I'm going to switch my arms around. All right, so we just covered basically just the warm-ups and the stretches. In the next video, I'm gonna be covering the strengthening exercises that I recommend and lifestyle habits that you can slightly adapt to make changes so that your desk doesn't impact your upper back and neck quite as much. If you found this useful, please comment below what you'd like to see next and what problems you're experiencing with your upper back and neck when you're sitting down. I will see you in the next video, and please remember to subscribe.